Good evening. The Cypress-Fairbanks, the Cypress, the light is on. Look at her. Yeah. Good evening. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Check, check, check. There's no
Yeah.
microphones.
Good evening.
Test, test, test.
Nobody's on.
Hi.
John, just stand up and start.
I, th-
Use your pastor voice.
I think we've got sound now. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees is now convened in a committee of the whole meeting on Thursday, December 12th, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center, located at 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, for the purpose of reviewing that portion of Monday, December 16, 2019, regular board meeting agenda. Oh, there it is. Designated as action items, and to hear designated reports and recognitions posted in the meeting notice as required by Texas law. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to the reports, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open for all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session and to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and CFTV online on the district website. They will be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening for your interest in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize our community leadership committee members who are here this evening, and we have Francis Romero. Where are you? Yes, thank you. Thank you for attending tonight. We will begin this meeting by administering the oath of office to our newly elected board members, Tom Jackson, position 1, Julie Heineman, position 2, Gilbert Sarabia, position 3, Debbie Blackshear, position 4. The superintendent secretary, Holly Reichert, will be doing the swearing-in ceremony. Would these board members please go down before the audiences? All right.
Oh, they're actually going in order.
Mm-hmm.
Your response will be, I do. Please raise your right hand. Do you, Tom Jackson, Julie Heineman, Gilbert Sarabia, Debbie Blacksher, solemnly swear to faithfully execute the duties of the office of trustee of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District and of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of your ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of the state of Texas, so help you God? By the authority vested in me as a notary public for the state of Texas, I declare you duly sworn officers of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District.
Now what? It's a great night. Great to have you all on board. Would any of you like to introduce your family members who are here tonight? Gilbert, Debbie? Debbie, would you get us started?
Okay, I'd like to introduce my husband Paul and my youngest granddaughter Briley Blacksher,
All right.
my biggest cheerleaders.
Julie, you have any?
My family couldn't join us tonight because they're at a band concert, which I will be joining very soon. So.
Yes, I'm going to welcome my family here. I'm very proud of them. Jared, Justin, twins, of course, I always call them that. Jacob, my youngest one. My oldest one couldn't make it. Justin's wife, Crystal. Also, I have in attendance my campaign manager and my right hand, two ladies, Christina Perez and Francis Ribeiro, where I wouldn't be here if I didn't have any chance of being here. Also, I want to thank Leslie back there, who's hiding out, who brought me upon this area here about 7 years ago. Thank you, Leslie, very much for everything you do and everything. My beautiful wife, Ginger, friends and supporter, Craig, Miss Kelly from Matsky, who's Jacob's kindergarten teacher. And she's still at Maskey, and we're very proud of her. She's a great Side Creek community person there. And, of course, my lovely wife, Ginger. And I have her support, and I'm very proud of that. And not least, Mom. Mom, you're not with us, but you're here with us.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Tom, you have...
My family doesn't live in Houston, so they aren't here. But I see many supportive faces in the crowd, and I want to say thank you. We also have an individual who ran for the board who is here because he's interested, right? So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So thank you.
All right, thank you, Tom. We'll now move to the reorganization of the board. And this is a wonderful day. The election of our officers for 2019-2020 shall begin in accordance with the Texas Education Code 11.061 and Board Policy BDAA Local. Nominations may be accepted for the offices of President, Vice President, and Secretary. The offices will be elected in that order. I will serve as chair until the new president is elected. At that time, the newly elected president shall preside over the election of the offices of vice president and secretary. Once each office is announced and the floor has been open for nominations, any board member may place a name in nomination without being recognized. No second is required. After determining that no further names are to be placed in nominations, the chair will declare the nominations closed. Each nominee will be voted upon in that order, in the order that the name was placed in nomination. All in favor will be asked to signify by raising their right hand. If a majority of those present and voting is achieved, no further votes for the office will be taken. If no majority is achieved, the next name placed in nomination shall be voted upon, and so on till the office is filled. Before we begin, do we have any questions? All right. The floor is now open for office of President of the Board of Trustees.
Mr. President, I move that the board elect Bob Covey for president.
All right, we have the name. Any other names? All right. If there are no other names, I will declare the nominations closed for the office of president. All in favor, signify by raising your right hands. All right. Congratulations, Bob Covey.
Thank you. And before we go on, John, you've done an awesome job as our president, and you have kept us moving forward and straight, and it's wonderful to have you here, and it's always amazing, and y'all don't realize this, but there's two Johns. There's one John up here that is very quiet and very organized, and then you've got Preacher John, who basically raises the roof over at the Met about 2 or 3 times a week. So thank you, John, for everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the floor is now open for the office of Vice President of the Board of Trustees. Do I have a nominee?
Mr. President, I would like to move that the board elect Don Ryan for vice president.
Thank you, Ms. Heineman. Any other nominations? Seeing none, then we will call that closed. All in favor of Don Ryan as Vice President, please raise your right hand. Don, congratulations. I'm sure you will do an amazingly interesting job.
Interesting.
Okay, the floor is now open for the office of Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Do we have a nomination?
Mr. President, I move that the board elect Debbie Blackshear for secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Debbie Blackshear, any other nominations?
Mr. President, I move that the board elect Tom Jackson for secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any other nominations? Okay, so I will say that the nominations have closed now, and we will have the vote. If I remember correctly, Debbie was the first one, and then Tom, so the vote is for Debbie. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. That is a majority, so we don't have to go any further. Congratulations, Debbie, our new Secretary of the Board. Do we want a 10-minute recess? Okay, we're going to do a 5-minute recess. So you can come up here and congratulate the people that have just been sworn in, or meet us out front, and then we're going to excuse Julie as she goes and sees her daughter perform. So, okay?
You should.
So, a 5-minute recess, and we're watching time. All right, next up would be the public comments for patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board and make public comments on an agenda item before the board's consideration of the item. I don't think we have anyone that has signed up, so we'll now proceed on with the reports. 7A, the administration will provide an oral report on career and technology education. Will I invite up Mary Jadlowski, who we're still thinking shouldn't retire, and Denise Kubeka.
Mr. President, before Mary starts, I just want to take a minute. I know we're going to recognize and honor one of our former board members on Monday night, so I want to make sure that at least we recognize Mary Jadlowski, who spent the last 41 years in Cypher ISD, her entire career. She put two children through Cypher ISD schools, and I can tell you when it comes to anything curriculum related, Mary was the go-to person. She has such great institutional knowledge, and in fact, we talked about that last week, and losing Mary on a day-to-day basis, although we know her phone number, we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge, but she's been such a pleasure for me to work with the past 9 years, and she's just a wonderful person and a great educator, and Mary, thank you for your years of service here.
Thank you.
Now you get to talk.
Now I get to talk. President Covey, Dr. Henry, board members, the Foundation Plus Endorsement graduation program ushered in a renewed focus on high school courses that support students' interests, aptitudes, and future aspirations, whether those aspirations included college and then a career or a direct entry into a career. Endorsements promoted a review of our already robust career and technical education programming. The CTE team took this opportunity to enrich, enhance, and expand our many offerings so that students seeking STEM, business and industry, or public services endorsement might have rich options and experiences. For a closer look at our CTE programming, I'll turn the presentation over to Denise Kabecka, our Director of Career and Technical Education.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me the chance to brag on the student opportunities in CFISD that our department supports. Research shows that students who take CTE courses are more likely to graduate high school, enroll in and complete college, and earn significantly more after high school, even if they decide against pursuing a post-secondary degree. Over the next few minutes, we hope to give you perspective on what CFISD CTE has to offer. When we are done, we feel certain you will agree that we definitely provide opportunity for all. When you visit many of our neighboring districts, they will proudly invite you to tour their beautiful comprehensive CTE center. I'd like to do the same in CFISD, but it'll take a little more time because we'll need to go to 12 separate locations. We embrace the philosophy of opportunity for all by offering everything for everyone who attends any of our comprehensive high schools. In addition to the comprehensive CTE programs in the high school, we manage 19, soon to be 20, supporting satellite CTE centers at the Brodicom Center and the middle schools. We have more CTE infrastructure in our middle schools than many high schools in other districts. 7th and 8th graders in CFISD have the opportunity to begin courses in a variety of career pathways, with most of those being for high school credit. 8th graders have the opportunity to start earning industry certifications, some of which show up later as performance acknowledgments on their high school transcript. With the additional CTE lab space incorporated into the new Dawn to Dusk Brodicom Center, we will pilot an after-hours welding class in the 2020-2021 school year. More about that later. Here are just a few more statistics to help you understand the magnitude of what we offer in CFISD and support our department's motto of opportunity starts here. By choosing to attend CFISD schools, students gain access to more than 130 career-based courses that are divided into 33 career pathways, which the state refers to as programs of study. Tonight, we'll give you a taste of what those programs of study cover. The numbers of teachers and students we support verifies we are making every effort to give every student some exposure to career training. One way for students to document their career training is to earn an industry certification. By choosing to attend CFISD schools, students gain access to more than 60 industry certifications. Last year, 9,218 certifications were earned. This was an 8% gain in 1 year, shattering our goal of a 2% gain. We're going to spend the remainder of the time sharing just a few highlights of what we offer. As we touch on each area, on the screen, you'll see the programs of study and certifications they encompass. Not everything happens in the classroom, so we'll also be sharing how students have opportunities to go beyond the classroom. And we would be remiss if we did not include evidence of some lagniappe. First up, I want to take a minute to highlight how we give students experiences that go well beyond what you find in a textbook. Ag in CFISD is well known for its livestock show that is larger than many county shows. There is much more to ag than raising animals, so I'd like to share how we are building our plant science program. Thanks to past and present bonds, we're continuing to add greenhouses to our campuses. These structures, along with other equipment in our ag shops, give our students the opportunity to problem solve real-world situations, such as producing enough food for an ever-expanding population. Thanks to our partnership with CFISD Food Services, students at a couple of our campuses are currently using hydroponics to mass-produce items such as romaine lettuce for their cafeteria in a confined space. In the realm of animal science, the short video you're about to see is an example of what happens when you give students the charge of utilizing what they learned in class to set up their own doggy daycare.
This is a really great opportunity because not a lot of high schools offer that opportunity for their students. They just do in-class work or they teach them like a PowerPoint or whatever. Here, our teacher shows us how to do certain actions with them, groom them, like vaccinations and all the parasites. Here, you actually get to do the hands-on stuff instead of just classroom work.
This is an example of what you will find in each of the career areas we support in CTE. As we move to architecture and construction, tonight we'll highlight a department-wide effort to find opportunities to connect students with post-secondary training options, as well as giving them firsthand experience with industry experts. Students in our Architecture Design 2 class have the opportunity to earn a total of 18 college credits towards an associate's degree in that area. Depending on the credentials of our architecture teachers, students either take the coursework on their high school campus or at the Lone Star College Cypress Center. We are proud of this partnership and are in the midst of finalizing similar agreements in other areas. Architecture students also have the option of attending mentoring sessions hosted at Spalglass, where they get to speak one-on-one with experts in various areas connected with this field. Take a look at this short video.
I took architecture class because it's something that I've always had an interest in and something I could possibly make a career out of.
Here we have an opportunity for your students to come in and actually meet with architects, engineers, contractors before they even get out into the industry.
I think it's great that Cypress-Fairbanks does this because it gives you a good insight into what careers you think would be best for you.
Again, this is just one example of efforts our teachers are making to give students the opportunity to be up close and personal with those who are currently working in the field. With the Arts, Audio, Visual, and Communications cluster, we've chosen to highlight examples of how our students are making a name for themselves and CFISD on the national stage and beyond. For example, we recently had 3 of our outstanding AVP students place at a contest open to broadcasting, film, and media programs across the nation. We also continue to have a presence at the International South by Southwest competition held in Austin each year. Fashion design students have proven themselves to a degree that you will now find some of their projects on the International Space Station. We'll talk more about our partnership with NASA when we get to the STEM cluster. For now, I would be remiss if I did not also give kudos to our AVP students for producing the video clips you are seeing tonight in this presentation. These are just 15-second segments of 2 to 3 minute videos they are producing to showcase various areas in CTE. We will have these video clips available for parents and students to view as part of our high school course description book in time for spring course registration. With their help, the goal is to bring our programs to life. Here's a short video of one AVP student giving his perspective on his experience in this program.
Being a member of Jersey Village Television has really been incredible, and it's given me an opportunity to work with equipment that I would never have been able to work with, and it's given me an environment that promotes creativity and productivity, which has really helped me, I think, be selected for this incredible award.
This young man from Jersey Village was selected as one of the PBS Student Journalist of the Year. Student competition is not unique to audiovisual students. You will find students from each area developing leadership, critical thinking, and time management skills via competition. As we delve into the opportunities we offer for students interested in careers in business, marketing, and finance, we will highlight our department-wide goal to continually expand the type of certification options available to students who take CFISD CTE courses. In most cases, students pay little or nothing for the training needed to gain the skills to pass the certification exam. While students are asked to pay for their certification exam voucher, there are opportunities to earn scholarships from Sci-Hope or reimbursement of exam fees by the state. With the financial burden removed, students simply need to apply themselves in their classes to walk out with a resume that sets them apart from others leaving high school with just a diploma. Many of the certifications available are career-starting credentials. For example, through a combination of online coursework, presentations by experts in the field, and internships or employment in real estate offices, we have our first group of 20 students training to become licensed real estate sales agents. In our next video, you'll hear from a student who shares his thoughts and experiences with another certification opportunity in this area.
I took accounting 1 and 2. Accounting 2 was a little bit more QuickBooks oriented. We worked in QuickBooks every day, and by the end of the class, so about January, so halfway through the year, I received my QuickBooks certification, which allowed me to get a job using QuickBooks every day, and actually paying about $20 an hour, which is a lot higher than most high school students get.
To recap the statistics on certifications shared towards the beginning of this presentation, CFISD CTE provides training for over 60 certifications with over 9,000 certifications earned last year. This is all in an effort to meet our superintendent's goal of every student leaving high school with more than just a diploma. This goal may sound familiar in that it was one focus of this past legislative session. Once again, CFISD is ahead of the curve. In the field of education, you often hear the phrase, grow your own. In most cases, it references the ability for school districts to inspire and develop future teachers and teacher aides. In CFISD CTE, we offer 2 models. In teaching and training courses, students receive a foundation in lesson development and then spend time in a student teaching setting at nearby elementary, middle, and/or high schools. In our early learning courses, students take on the role of a pre-K teacher within the licensed preschools we run at every high school. Hooray for pre-K. Their students are 3- and 4-year-olds from our community that spend a few hours a day, an average of 3 days per week in our high schools. Some of the pictures you just viewed were taken at CFISD elementaries, and some showcased our high school preschool area. It's very difficult to distinguish between them because both are real-world settings. Seniors in these programs are given a letter of intent to interview from our CFISD HR department, guaranteeing them the chance to sell themselves and gain employment once they finish their education and earn their credentials. Let's take a moment to hear from a student in the program.
We intern, we go off campus, we go to Warner Elementary, and we go to Smith Middle School. And going there, it's like super welcoming. All the kids are so happy to see you. They're so happy because they look up to you.
This is just one example. Other departments are getting in on the grow your own phenomenon. We also have students working with CFISD Transportation, Technology Services, and CFISD Cinema, just to name a few. I'm here tonight to share that it really does take a village. In this case, it takes a village to run the health science program when over 8,000 students sit in these classes each year. You would be hard-pressed to find another district serving this many students in this field. To make this work, we partner with 11 hospitals, 2 major pharmacy chains, plus a handful of smaller private medical facilities. Let me give you a chance for the magnitude of this program to settle in. I said we partner with 11 hospitals and the 2 largest pharmacy chains. If that is not impressive enough, we also partner with Lone Star College Cypher to provide EMT and CNA certification training. This next video clip will give you some insight into how we utilize our partners.
This class is really cool because we get to go 3 times a week. We come to the hospital and we get to shadow different healthcare workers and things like that, and it's really exciting to see and everything that there is going on and all the different aspects of it.
Providing a broader exposure to facilities and staff such as these allows students to realize the wide variety of occupations available, requiring a range of training and education. It's not long before these students realize that there are far more positions in a hospital beyond doctors and nurses. They also see how they can begin in one job and progress to others down the line with additional certification and/or education. Understanding that careers exist that require varying levels of training and education helps students see that there is a job out there for everyone. Our culinary arts program goes well beyond perfecting recipes. Students leave this program with the knowledge and skills needed to step into positions at food establishments, including our own school cafeterias. This year, we have our first advanced student utilizing the Cypher High School cafeteria as their work site. Some students even take on the challenge of designing and preparing a menu item worthy of being served in the International Space Station. The ratatouille recipe prepared by students at Cypress Woods High School was judged to be second best in the nation. Thanks to recent bonds, we are including some commercial food preparation equipment in all of our high school culinary labs. This gives students the opportunity to begin their exposure to commercial aspects of the industry in their earlier courses. Once in advanced courses, students from all 12 high schools have the opportunity to train in a full-fledged commercial kitchen. To meet the demand in this area, we opened our 3rd advanced culinary lab this year at Cypress Ridge High School. Along with the labs at Cypher and Cypark, students find themselves in spaces that are designed and outfitted with equipment recommended by the industry experts. They leave our program not only with the ability to safely prepare nutritionally balanced meals, they also have the papers to prove it. The food handler and manager certifications they receive are identical to what is required in this industry. As in other areas of CTE, they are ready to go to work, whether that be as a full-time career or a means to funding, funding additional training. Let's take a look.
And college isn't an option for everybody. It doesn't have to be an option for everybody. I have friends in the business right now who didn't go to college. They went out from high school and went straight to culinary, and they own their own restaurants and they're doing well.
Our philosophy is to prepare students to keep their options open. With nearly 2/3 of all jobs requiring at least some training and/or education beyond high school, students are encouraged to take the classes needed to later pursue additional training and/or education should their career goals change or it's needed for an advancement, even if their initial plan is to go straight into the workforce after graduation. An average of 1,200 students sit in cosmetology classes across our 12 high schools each year in CFISD. This is huge compared to most other districts who have the capacity of serving only 100 to 200 students in this field of study. By supporting a licensed cosmetology lab in each high school, Students have the ability to acquire the 1,000 hours of training required in the certification process, something that would be very difficult to do if class time was reduced to allow for transportation to a central location. While this program of study does require students to commit 6 to 7 credits of coursework across their time in high school, they have the opportunity to leave us with the necessary credentials to set up shop after graduation. The student in this next video clip shares what earning a cosmetology operator's license means to her.
I would recommend this class to other students because it can open up doors, and the fact that you can take this class and like just run with it. Once you get your diploma, you're good. You get your license and your diploma, and then after that, like, you can just take off running.
Our cosmetology students are always looking for opportunities to perfect their craft. Let me know if you want more information on making an appointment at one of our high school cosmetology salons. This next cluster of courses is one that impacts just about every industry imaginable. As we all know, it is the people behind the scenes that can make or break a company. In CFISD, we depend on Paula Ross and her technology services team to keep our network and connection to the outside world up and running. Likewise, the work that Leslie Francis and her communication team do behind the scenes on our web presence can greatly impact how others view our district. Students in our information technology courses get the opportunity to earn a variety of certifications from providers such as CompTIA, MTA, Cisco, and Adobe, all very recognizable giants in this industry. You will find some of our advanced students designing websites for clients and are shadowing technicians in our own technology services department. This is the first year we have partnered with Paula's group, and we could not be more proud of the outcome. Let's take a moment to hear from a student in the program.
I think it's great that they give us these opportunities because it allows us to better ourselves, to become better network technicians, network administrators, stuff like that, and helps us focus on what we need to be learning about and what's really being used in the real world.
In touching base with technology services, they report that their student interns are well prepared to shadow and work alongside their technicians. While we have simulated the work setting in the classroom, nothing can replace being in a full-scale work environment. Karen Fuller reported that eyes were big and jaws were dropped when they first brought the students into our data center. This is why our goal is to find ways to encourage more students to take advantage of internships before they leave high school. Students start taking classes in the manufacturing cluster in middle school. CFISD is unique in that many school districts only support space and equipment for these classes in certain high schools. Not only do we have these facilities in every one of our 12 comprehensive high schools, we also have them in all of our middle schools and in our newest space at the Broadcom Center. Our welding classes are consistently at capacity. We want to serve the maximum number of students possible since this is an industry that is starved for employees. It is not uncommon to see some of our industry partners handing out business cards to students at our welding competitions. We contribute much of the success of this program to the fact that we listen to and respond to our industry partners. For example, we are working with Daikin to add a brazing component to our advanced welding curriculum. We plan to take advantage of the dawn to dusk capability of the Broadcom Center to offer an after-hours welding certification class for those who cannot fit the classes into their schedule during the regular school day. Let's listen to one of our female welders and get a peek at our newest lab at the Broadcom Center.
It was a really fun experience. I got to underwater weld, and which was really cool because it's something I'm actually interested in doing as a career.
The additional welding space made available with the opening of the Broadcom Center has helped us meet student demand for welding classes on the northern side of the district. With the 2019 bond, we plan to build another welding lab at Cypress Lakes High School to provide more seats for students on the south side of the district. These labs are in addition to the welding spaces we have at many other high schools. The next cluster we will highlight is the STEM cluster. Within this cluster, we have lots to cheer about. Computer science students from Cypress Woods High School played a role in earning our district's first ever UIL state championship. Robotics and automation students are headed to the contest arena. This year, we had enough teams to form our own VEX Robotics League. We had a series of 6 competitions to work through a bracket and determine our first district champions. The winning team was from Cypress Lakes High School. As district champions, they are qualified to move on to compete at the next level. In an effort to combine the power of what students gain by taking both computer science and robotics classes, we are currently piloting the CFISD STEM Academy for Automation, Robotics, and Computer Science, also known as the ARC Academy, at Cypress Springs High School. This program is open to students from across the district. The curriculum includes a robust integration of computer science and engineering courses focused on exposing students to the knowledge and skills required in the field of automation. Students who are part of this academy also have the opportunity to be a part of our initial district-wide first robotics team. But wait, the cheering continues in this area. Each of our high schools also supports a range of engineering courses. This program joins others such as fashion and culinary in participating in NASA's Hunch program, High Schools United with NASA to Create Hardware. Our students have multiple pieces up in the International Space Center, including a galley table and lockers that hold experiments and other items being shipped to the ISS. This next video clip gives a glimpse into what students experienced on a recent trip down to NASA.
I think it's great that kids can do this in Cy-Fair. I'm so thankful that they provide opportunities like this.
It's a phenomenal opportunity for students to participate with the Hunch program and with NASA to actually develop designs for NASA and products for NASA that will actually be used and flown into space at some point.
I mentioned earlier how students rotating through various departments and hospitals come to realize there are more than just doctors and nurses in medical professions. Seeing the variety of programs in our district that are partnering with NASA demonstrates they hire more than just astronauts. Getting a feel for the types of careers out there gives students exposure to jobs they might not even know existed. Speaking of exposure to careers, 65 students from our automotive program spent 3 days of their Thanksgiving break in a job shadowing experience. Like cosmetology, CFISD is unique in that we support a full automotive lab in each and every one of our comprehensive high schools. With an annual average of 1,100 students taking automotive classes, you won't find a larger public school automotive program. We could not operate such a large program without industry support. We want to thank our partners, including CFISD Transportation, John Eagle Honda, Westside Lexus, Mustang Cat, Gulf States Toyota, Chris Truck Centers, and more. For the last couple of years, Gulf States Toyota has hosted a competition where each high school sent the best of their best to compete. This year, Westside Lexus is stepping up to host a district competition on March 28th. It is not uncommon to see automotive dealership service managers at these competitions speaking to students and handing out business cards. Robert Trevino of Gulf States Toyota shares his thoughts about the skill they see in our students in this next clip.
One of the great things of the schools is that they have their ASC accredited and the students will take their ASC entry level certifications. When students take those, they have an 80% chance of passing the real aid, and it sets them apart from everyone else because without those certifications, you can't work on today's vehicles.
If you are keeping track, that makes a total of 33 programs of study offered by CFISD compared to the average of 15 programs of study offered by our neighboring districts. But wait, there's more. The staff in the CTE office also support the district's Air Force JROTC and team parenting programs. Air Force JROTC provides premier leadership training for students from all 12 high schools. Cy-Fair High School Air Force JROTC, placing 5th at the Worldwide Cyber Patriot Competition, is one of many achievements of cadets in the AFJROTC program. I encourage you to save the date for this year's Pass and Review at the Berry Center on April 18th, where the cadets will march in formation to be inspected by the superintendent and their principals. Succeeding in high school can be a challenge for any student. CFISD's Teen Parenting Program provides additional support for our students who have added the responsibility of being a teen parent. What is unique about CFISD is that we are one of few districts who provide childcare on-site at the high schools, as opposed to arranging childcare at a nearby commercial childcare center. The support for our teens is a team approach involving a counselor, social worker, childcare director, and teen parenting teacher. Just another example of CFISD's mission to support the social and emotional needs of our students so they can in turn focus on their academics. As my presentation comes to a close, I'd like to take a moment to ask my team to stand and be recognized. Supporting the 450 or so teachers it takes to teach the over 30,000 students in these programs is no small task. My team includes 4 coordinators, Dr. Sharon Hogue, David Schrubar, Mark Williams, and Vanessa Coach, who we share with CFISD Cinema. We're also thankful to have 6 instructional coaches, Ashley Davis, Melanie Henderson, Ron Litzler, Jennifer O'Brien, Eileen Pennington, and Terry Zimmerman. Along with the 4 ladies that support us in the office, we are your CFISD CTE team, and we could not be more thankful of your support. This is not my grandfather's CTE program. It's not my father's CTE program. For that matter, it's not even the CTE program my generation experienced growing up. Students who find themselves in CFISD schools have more career-based course options than ever. In CFISD CTE, opportunity starts here. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Yes, let's look here. Don, you're up.
That was amazing. And to the whole CTE team, unbelievable that our students have this many opportunities. And I went by, I had a visit at the Broadcom Center, and met the welding instructor there, who's really has. She's awesome. I mean, she's got really the bar set high for what she wants to accomplish, and just to see everything that we offer, it's nice for people to see, because so many people will just sit there and think, well, they're just teaching to the test, and I'm like, we're so much more than that.
Yes, sir.
In fact, seeing that first part, I had some buddies that were in plant science in high school. They didn't get credit for it, really.
Probably in manufacturing too, weren't they? Debbie?
All I can say is wow, and just incredible. I guess my question is, can I go back to high school? Because the programs we offer, I have said it many times as I've visited our campuses, is that if I as a high school student had the opportunities that are now available to our students in Cy-Fair ISD, my career path could have been totally different. I mean, I love the culinary arts and what we've done with our professional style kitchens, and just, you know, it's not only culinary arts, it's all of them. There are just so many great opportunities available, and you know, when I hear discussions about private schools and homeschooling, that may be good for a handful of students, but I think more about the opportunities that they are missing out by not attending our public schools.
We agree.
Gilbert, you're up.
Amazing presentation, like earlier said. Do you find students coming back to the district that you may have taught and maybe being instructors in itself, though? It sounds amazing. Maybe it hadn't been around long enough, though, but I'm just asking that particular question.
No, absolutely. We do have several students from the education cluster coming back, but we also have students coming back from the other areas as well. We have students who are working for the district that went through our automotive program. We have, I can think of, there's at least 5 or 6 of our ag teachers were students that came through our program. So we have several students who come back to CFISD in some shape or form from our programs.
Yes, being innovative and being at the forefront, it makes a parent as myself very proud of this community and stuff. And you and your group are an amazing part, and we are very proud of you.
Thank you.
The report is just amazing, and I am familiar with another district that has their CTE program at a singular site. And for us to do what we're doing, it just really gives more of an opportunity. Did you say that each of those programs is available at each school? And if not, what happens if you're at one high school and one of the CTE programs is not available at that school?
All of our programs are open to students at every high school. If there's something that's not on a particular campus, it's because we did not have enough students express interest. But if the students are there and the students want it, they have it.
I would add my accolades. Exceptional presentation. This answers most of my questions from 2 months ago. I did have a couple of follow-up questions that I gave to Linda 2 months ago, which I think somehow got thrown away, but I'll ask them again.
Sure.
These were the same questions I asked before when I worked with y'all to make a video. Not quite as nice as what y'all did here, but we still showed it to the Chamber of Commerce. So one, what percentage of our high school graduates graduate with at least one certification?
I don't have the exact number, but I could get that for you.
Thank you. And I do know when I asked it before, it took some time because you had to do data inquiries. The corollary to that is what percentage of our high school graduates have at least one CTE course, which is a different question, but still in the same ballpark.
The last time we reported on that, it was somewhere in the mid-90s. Have at least 90%. So somewhere in the mid-90% have taken at least one course, which makes sense because every year, like right now, we have over 30,000 students sitting in our classes. So that's a huge number.
90% is exceptional. To Gilbert's question, my son, who's a licensed architect in 2 states, when he was here in Texas, did come back several times as a guest instructor in the area of architecture. And I'm sure he's not the only one who has done that. How many students did you say were in the health science area?
Over 8,000.
That's what I thought you said. Last time I visited that CTE area, we had a waiting list because we did not have enough space at Lone Star College and at hospitals. So do we still have a waiting list in that area?
If we do, what we've done to address that is we have multiple opportunities. And so if we end up with a situation where we don't have enough space in one particular course, we have 3 or 4 other very viable courses that they can go into to give them the experience. But we're always continuing to look for new affiliation agreements to expand the number of places. As you can see right now, we're at 11 hospitals and the 2 largest pharmacy chains. So we are progressing right along with meeting that demand. And so the number of students who aren't able to get into that rotation the first time they try is dwindling.
The growth in that area just in the 8 short years that I've been a trustee has been phenomenal, which addresses a truly outstanding job that y'all are doing, because it's more than just classwork. You have to go out
Absolutely.
and reach in industry partners as well. One question for you, Mark. Do charter schools offer CTE courses like this?
I'm not sure the answer to that, but I know they don't offer the number that we offer, and they don't have the type of instructors that we have.
Speaking of instructors, something that I was pleasantly stunned by when I visited a number of our culinary arts centers is the instructors happened to have been restaurant chefs that would rotate out of industry to kind of regroup, recollect their thoughts, and we could only have them for a year or 2 or 3. Do we still have that phenomenon? Is that still occurring?
The phenomenon of only having them for,
No.
or of them coming in from industry?
Yes,
Yes.
of
We-
having chefs from major restaurants come in to us to teach our children.
We have across all of the career fields, we continue to have teachers who come in from that where teaching is not their first career. And so they're coming in from the industry. So then they're able to provide those real world experiences. And then in turn, for those who are coming in from the education field with a degree in education, we support those teachers by annually looking for places to connect them with industry, bring them out in industry. So it's a combination, yes, sir.
There is something that you mentioned at a number of the different areas, but I want to highlight it. Would you say that this district embraces the concept of constantly trying to provide our students with the industry standard education, i.e. providing them with the experience of jobs of today and tomorrow versus jobs of yesterday?
Yes, sir.
And is that across all of our CTE programs?
Yes, sir.
Truly exceptional, and it's a credit to the superintendent and the boards that came before us to support and embrace the concept, but also to the public, because they're willing to finance that.
Yes.
How many students do we have in our technology area?
In the information technology area,
Correct.
I'd have to look that up.
Thank you.
And yes.
And would you also, and this is a prior question as well, so when you look it up, how many of those certificates that are earned happen to be in the technology field?
I'd have to look
Well-
back,
well-
but we
well,
can
yes.
certainly give you a breakdown of the certifications.
Thank you. Once again, excellent presentation.
You're welcome.
But more than that, what a gift y'all are giving to our kids. So I thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Denise. It was an awesome, whoa, you're not going anywhere. And I will tell you, if I was you, I would turn around and thank Mary for going ahead and retiring right before she introduced you, because she just sat there through the entire thing, so. Anyway, one of the things that you talked about was the ARC, which is a pilot program.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that people need to know is, I've had people say, well, we don't have that in our high school, whatever it might be. The pilot programs, we start out and we make sure that we're doing them well before we put them through all of our high schools. So when we say that we've got a program, sometimes the pilots are the ones that we're experiencing how we're going to do them correctly.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So there was it's probably a Twitter, and they were talking about Lubbock was implementing plumbing and electrical in their CTE program in Lubbock, Texas. And was it Facebook? Facebook, okay. Do we offer that here in Cyfair?
Yes, we have a plumbing program that is currently offered. It's offered to students in all 12 high schools, and then we have electrical as part of our manufacturing.
Because that kind of service job is really lacking for people right now. So I'm glad that we offer that.
Yes.
And then one suggestion to you, because it was an excellent presentation, and Linda, I hate to tell you this, but Tassa Tasby came up over here, and it wasn't just me, but they thought this would be a great presentation at one of those. But we'd also like to have a copy of that. Could you share that with the board?
Absolutely.
Would you? Okay. Does everybody okay with that? That was a great, thank you very much.
You're
and Mary, for a swan song, thank you.
Bob?
Yes.
Could I have one follow-up
Sure, go ahead.
question? Denise, this is something that you touched on, and it may be something that others might want to chime in about as well. So what's unique about this district is we have all of these offerings at each of our high schools. However, what hits newspaper play are the standalone buildings. But there are differences between the two approaches. Would you highlight the benefits or detriments of our approach versus just having one building that would have all the CTE in it?
Well, there really are no detriments other than it does require a larger commitment. The benefits far outweigh the detriments because it is really everything for everyone. Not only does it keep students in their neighborhood schools, it provides more options. If we only had it at one or two locations, we would have to greatly reduce the number of students that we could serve.
Tom, if I could just add to that, and Denise touched on it, but the biggest thing that makes us different in Cyfair ISD among large districts is that we continue to maintain the neighborhood concept even with high schools. So having that neighborhood concept, transportation doesn't become an issue for those that don't have transportation. They can stay in their own communities to go to school, and then on top of that, we're not spending as much time on the road traveling to and from a different facility, so you have so many more minutes per day, if not hours per day, of time on task and learning as opposed to being in a bus getting to a separate facility. So that's been our approach.
And Mark, would you say that there's a saving on transportation dollars as well?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. We try to limit the number of shuttles we have throughout the day. Certainly we do have some shuttles, but again, it's a savings in transportation cost, and it's a savings in instructional time.
Thank you. And Bob, let's move on before I come up with any more questions.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for that suggestion, Tom. So yes, we're going to go ahead. The board will now review the following consensus action items. 8A, and this will actually require approval tonight. The board will approve and take action this evening on the use of existing electronic signatures on all checks until the new plates for the 2019-2020 Board of Trustees officers are received. May I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the existing electronic signatures on all checks issued until the new plates for the 2019-2020 Board of Trustees officers are received.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr.
John
Ryan.
missed making motions the last couple of years. He's jumping right in.
Do we have any questions or concerns? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. And it's unanimous. Thank you. 8B, the board will consider approving the minutes of the November 11th, 2019 regular board meeting. That is on consent. Okay? 8C, the board will consider approving the minutes of the November 18th, 2019 special call board meeting. I should have asked. Anybody got any questions or deletions? Okay. The board will now review the following non-consent action items. 9A, the board will consider and take action this evening on a resolution casting its ballot for its choice of a nominee to serve on the board of directors of the Harris County Appraisal District. May I have a motion?
Does anybody know these people? Any of them? I'm just curious.
Well, that was to finish out a term, and this is new, so this is different.
I think the guy that y'all approved last time was Ben Pappy.
Yeah, it was Ben.
Yeah.
But also, I'm sorry. You know, he had about 4 months. I'm not unhappy.
Ben, is Ben even here? All right, hey, I move that the board approve a resolution casting its ballot for Ben Pappy as its choice of a nominee to serve on the board of directors of the Harris County Appraisal District.
I second.
Any discussion?
Ben Pappy.
Other than we voted for him the last time? Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay,
Ben
thank you.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Don. 9B, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda items. 1, automotive fuel propane. 2, bananas for nutrition services. 3, departmental vehicles, police. 4, EMC Dell data domain. 5, HPE wireless controller upgrade. 6, paper for nutrition services. May we move that to consent? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, just a note, I will have to refrain from voting due to my son being employed by Jake's Finer Foods, which received part of a bid on item number 6. So
Okay. All right.
just wanted to make that note.
So Ms. Blackshear is going to refrain from voting. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Do I need to refrain from voting for my wife works for HPE? Would sound
They're
like
part
it,
of it,
right?
then yes.
Then I would abstain
Okay.
on resolution
Okay.
5, so.
Thank you, Gilbert. Okay, can we move that to consent? Is that okay with everybody? No.
Did you ask for any questions?
Separate that out?
Yeah, separate.
All right, we're gonna separate that one out, Holly. Yeah, not vote?
Abstention. Noted.
Thank you, Vice President, I appreciate it. Okay.
I think Tom has a question.
Tom, you have a question?
Yes, I was.
Okay. From the previous one, or is this a new question?
Well, I still have questions on
Okay.
the previous one, but
Okay, you're up.
on the purchase contract for police vehicles, could we have a little more information? What type of vehicles are we talking about? Is there a range? Bill, what is the life of these vehicles? Are these replacements? If they're replacements, what percentage of the fleet are we replacing? Those sorts of matters.
Okay. If I can remember all that. As you may recall, in the 2000 bond long-range planning committee presentation, Chief Mendez shared with us that the national standard for replacement is at 80,000 miles. His recommendation was to replace our vehicles at 95,000 miles. And the vehicles that we are going to be replacing are those that we purchased when Chief Bragg first started the department back in 2012. That will be the majority of them. There are some other ones that we're replacing. It's about 32% of the fleet that we're replacing in this first phase. There was $6 million in the 2019 bond that was dedicated toward the replacement, excuse me, of the police vehicles.
So after we acquire these vehicles, do they need any upgrades to bring them up to Cyfair standards?
Yes, all of that is included in the purchase price. The GPS, the computers, laptops, everything, the light bars, the signage, all of that is included in the purchase price.
And has it proved to be a good decision about delaying the time in building more mileage in? You know, you would presume that as you add more mileage, you have more repair cost and you have more downtime.
That's exactly correct. Not only that, we've also experienced several collisions that were not our officers' fault with individuals that were not insured. So we're having to pay for and replace those vehicles as well. As far as delaying the cost of ownership on a vehicle, as you know, the older it gets, the more expensive it becomes. So the cost of ownership is what we definitely look at. If we have to replace a transmission or motor or engine, anything of that nature, we're definitely going to evaluate it before we replace it.
And if I heard you correctly, you said 32% of the fleet's being replaced?
Approximately, yes, sir.
So are we going to be looking to replace the other 2/3 over the next several years?
Yes, sir. That was part of the 2019 bond package.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
However, Bill, if you want, you may stay up here, but I think Debbie may have a question.
I have a question, Bill. Approximately how many miles per year do we put on our police vehicles?
Chief? Approximately, I would say 20 to 30,000, depending on the officer that's assigned to the vehicle.
Right.
Is that about correct?
That's about right.
Right.
It's about 20 to 30,000, and the reason that we go to 95,000, as Mr. Jackson asked, is we have the ability, as the cars start to wear, we move them to the campuses with the campus officers because there's less driving during the day at the campuses. So we are able to stretch out the life of the car for an additional 18,000 miles versus 80,000. So the national standard at 80,000, that's traditional policing, DPS, sheriff, or city, and so the wear and tear is a lot harder than at the campus.
And I would assume the reason that 8,000 is they probably engage in many more high-speed pursuits, and we not so much, if at all.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Stick around.
Yeah, so, and I'm looking at an average time for a vehicle, 5 to 6 years?
5 to 6, 7, depending on, like I said, the wear and tear and the cost of ownership.
Yeah, but no longer than 7 or 8 then?
No, not typically, no.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you. We're going to move that we're going to stand alone on that one, right? 9C, the board will consider approving construction
But
proposal.
Bob,
I'm sorry?
I have other questions. That was just on the police cars.
Well, we got to where you want to go yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Are you kidding? No,
No.
you're ready. Okay.
So this relates to the $900,000 estimated contract for EMC Dell Data Domain, and then the $600,000 contract with HPE Wireless Controller. So if you would, talk to us a little bit about what we're doing here. Are these upgrades, replacements? What's the estimated life?
Yes, sir. The data domain upgrade, we originally installed the data domain with the 2014 bond, and we projected that to last about roughly 5 years. And we have reached our capacity on that a little bit sooner than we anticipated, the end of 2019, due to data growth. But the data domain upgrade will allow us to expand our backup infrastructure, to upgrade our infrastructure, and to future-proof our infrastructure.
So refresh my memory. What is a data domain?
Data domain is where we back up our server infrastructure to. All of our backup and our disaster recovery is located on the data domain.
So it's primarily backup or what you might refer to as an internal cloud, something of this nature.
That is correct.
So it's data storage.
Yes, sir. And
You know,
100% of it will be replaced.
And then you said that you are providing future-proof. What
Yes,
does
sir.
that mean?
What we are doing with this upgrade, it'll be the latest technology for our backup infrastructure. And then in early 2020, I will be bringing another feature to this to complement the data domain. It will be a technology called air gap. and that will prevent us, it will enable us to have safe backup infrastructure in case we are hit with ransomware. It's a protected backup environment.
That's the answer I was looking for. Thank
Okay,
you. And then talk to us a little bit about this HPE wireless controller upgrades.
And once again, with the bond 2014, we rolled out a wireless infrastructure. We rolled out new controllers that are at a version of software 6.5, and we rolled out 12,000 wireless access points throughout the district. Currently, we need to upgrade the back-end infrastructure, the 6.5, to the latest technology. It will provide enhanced wireless access point utilization. It'll improve the stability of the connectivity. It is also needed for the newer models of wireless access points that we will be installing, and we will be installing some of those newer models at Harold Rowe Middle School this next fall.
So a follow-up on that, as I've been making my campus visits, 8 years ago, quite frankly, our technology did not work.
That is correct.
Period.
That is correct.
Even as recently as 3 years ago, when we were in the middle of the rollout, every campus I went to, except for the brand new ones, would have dead spots. And some would have multiple dead spots. And then as recently as 2 years ago, I would be taken into classrooms where the technology would be shown and it would freeze up or it would crash. Yet this year, I've noticed every stop I've made, we have tremendous connectivity everywhere. So the question is, since it's all working, why do we need to upgrade it? Why do we need to make a change?
If we maintain the same back-end infrastructure without patching and upgrading, we once again are opening ourselves for attacks.
Thank you ever so much. The seminar I went to on Monday of this week covered all these.
Oh, very good.
So excellent response, and thank you for always being on the cutting edge and looking ahead on this.
Thank you.
Any more, Tom, or are we okay?
Bob, I always have more, but I'm just plain out of breath.
So, I'm just baiting you, obviously. Okay, so, all right, so that one is going to be separated out. And then 9C, the board to consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractor and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contract as follows. 219 ALC East, Carpenter Center, and ALC West renovations. We have an opportunity for questions tonight. Does anyone on the board have questions about this? Nope. Can we move that to consent? Is that okay? Matt, you're off the hook. 9D, the board to consider approving the administration's recommendation for establishment of attendance boundaries for Rowe Middle School and rezoning modifications of multiple campus attendance boundaries effective for the 2020-2021 school year. Presenting is Teresa Hall and Christy Geron. Teresa, you want, or Christy, you're up.
All right, I have to follow Denise's awesome presentation with videos and fun things. This is boundaries, so. A month ago, I presented to you all a boundary proposal to populate brand-new Rowe Middle School, align affected feeders, and clean up a few boundary lines due to new developments. Since then, the community has been allowed to give input on the committee's proposal, and each Friday, you should have received a copy of all those submitted comments. I want to share with y'all that every comment was looked at and considered for this final recommendation. In the end, we did not change our original proposal, but tonight I would like to share and review our final recommendation to the board and also summarize the input that we received when it's appropriate. Okay. The Boundary Committee's final recommendation will open Rowe with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, relieve Thornton and Anthony, align all the feeder patterns, and amend boundary lines for new developments. This is the recommended middle school boundary lines for the 2020-2021 school year.
The areas surrounded with a red outline are the areas that we recommended change or to shift. As you can see, the red star represents Rowe Middle School. It makes sense that the majority of those students are going to come from Thornton and Hopper. And at this time, I'm going to go over those 5 surrounded or circled areas real quickly, review what we went over the last meeting on November 11th. Thornton desperately needs relief, and their enrollment is currently over 1,900 students. Our recommendation is to shift approximately 405 students from Thornton to Rowe. Those neighborhoods, it's right above Thornton, it's in the green and red circle around it, is Ellison, Lantana, Jasmine Heights, Bear Creek Glen, Eagle Ranch West, Westfield Village, and the villages of Bear Creek and the villages of Bear Creek North. I have totals if y'all need them later, but I know y'all have them from the last time and probably from this packet as well. That's 405 students. We received some community input regarding Westfield Village. This community is approximately 114 students. With these 8 res codes going to Rowe, Thornton still has over 1,500 students, even though we're taking 405 students from them. Also, there's an area adjacent to Westfield Village that has not been developed yet called Westfield Village, and it's just north of the occupied Westfield Village, and we want to keep those together. It's right east of the Katy-Cyfair line, and it makes sense to include Westfield in this shift because Keith Harrow is the natural boundary line when making this change. The second shift, even though Hopper does not really need relief, we need to shift some students to Rowe because of proximity to Rowe. So 525 kids, which is right in the heart of the star, from Hopper to Rowe. And those students are going to come from Settlers Village South, Cypress Oaks, McGill, Highland Creek Ranch, Lakeville, Bear Creek Meadows West, Eagle Ranch West, Freeman Douglas, and Settlers Village. Some of these communities, even in the previous ones, don't have any students in them yet, far west, but they are included in our recommendation. That's 525 students. Now, finally, the third shift to populate Rowe is from Kayla. It's approximately 178 students. These students already attend Cypress Park, so it was beneficial to include them in that Rowe feeder to make Rowe a pure feeder to Cypress Park. And those 3 are Bear Creek Meadows Northwest, Bear Creek Meadows, and Bear Creek Plantation, making up the 178 students. Those shifts populated Rowe, as I mentioned, and since we pulled kids out of Hopper and Kayla, and Anthony needed relief, just like Thornton, our recommendation also includes shifting kids from Anthony to both Hopper and to Kayla. So first, Anthony to Hopper. It's 374 students. That includes Yopine Ranch in Remington Grove. And that is when you see the word Hopper up there, right on the R, it's that first box on the left. So that's the 374 students, Yopine Ranch in Remington Grove. Second, we have Anthony to Kayla, which is 307 students, which is Westgate, west of the creek, Westgate, west of Barker Cypress, and Paddocks, 307 students. As you read, we had a lot of input from Westgate regarding distance to Anthony versus Kayla, and also the frequency of changes to Westgate. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the distance. I picked an address in the middle of Westgate, and I put that address in Google Maps, and I went to Anthony, and it was 4.3 miles, and I went to Kayla, and it was 3.6 miles, and both were 12 minutes. I picked the address that was put in the input, and it was 4.1 miles to Anthony, and it was 3.5 miles to Kayla. So again, both cases, Kayla was a shorter distance. I'm sure there are some northern parts that would be farther and southern parts that would be shorter. So again, really right in the middle, and the ones that was included in the input did not make it longer, as was stated in the input. As far as the frequency, in 2014 when Anthony opened, Westgate did get moved from Smith to Anthony. Again, we were trying to populate a brand new school. And with this recommendation, it will be 6 years between these 2 middle school changes in the recommendations from 2014 to 2020. Town Lake has also exploded since then, and Anthony must have relief and room for the continued growth. Kayla is under capacity and has plenty of room. There was a shift in Westgate from high school students in 2016 when Cy Park opened. Again, populating a new school, we have to move students, but we're not recommending any high school boundary changes for Westgate. This is only a middle school recommendation. And this complete package shifts, like I said before, 1,789 total students. Again, more evidence in our opinion that our approach was a very conservative one to populate Roe. Oops, there you go. Okay, when we decided on these middle school changes, we noticed that one res code was still not aligned with the high schools. This map shows high school lines and middle school colors. The red outlined area, res code 604, which is Canyon Village at Cypress Springs, currently is zoned to Cypress Park High School. If we leave it at Cypress Park, it would be the only Hopper res code that would attend Cypress Park. By recommending 604 go to Cypress Springs, all of Hopper would feed Cypress Springs High School. This change only affects the incoming ninth graders. I think there was some confusion maybe from the last presentation. Only affects the incoming ninth graders for the 2021 school, which is approximately 53 current eighth grade students. Current high school students in 604 already attending Cypress Park High School will stay at Cy Park. So this is only the eighth graders at, from Hopper. So also you can see with this map, you can clearly see that Cy Park would be all of Roe and part of Thornton, and Springs would be all of Hopper, part of Anthony, and part of Kayla.
And Chrissy, Springs is, their enrollment's somewhat lower, which that would boost their enrollment, right?
Yes, I
And
mean,
Springs right now.
Park is at their first 4 years, so yes, but Springs is lower.
Thanks.
Low for high school.
Right, low for a high school.
Low for high school. I mean lower than Park. Yes, low for high school. We had a couple of elementary line amendments due to new developments, and first there was Res Code 278, which is in the far southwest corner. Again, before school started, there wasn't anybody in there. When we started this investigation, it was 1, and I think there may be 6 to 8 right now. This was really a transportation request since the development just started having students. Transportation was going all the way down 529 to Fry and to West Little York, all the way around Walker just to get to Hemingway. And Lantana is going to grow really fast, and Walker's a perfect location, and it just makes the school more balanced and makes sense to move that area far west to Hemingway to Walker. And then the little bitty square in the south, right above the word above Wilson, there's a complex that was originally going to be for retired people and is now going to be for younger individuals. I think I said it last time. The new development is Res Code 133 Esperanza, next to the established 3555 Green Meadow Apartments, which is approximately 63 students. This recommendation makes Keith Harrow again a natural boundary line, and it's diagonally across the street from Tips, which makes sense too. Esperanza is projected to have maybe 25 students by the beginning of fall 2020, which would make a total of 88 students possibly going to Tips. So in this final recommendation, there's approximately 1,789 middle school students, 53 current 8th grade to be 9th grade high school students, and 88 elementary students. And in all, only 1,930 would be affected in our final recommendation to populate a brand new middle school, align feeders, relieve Anthony and Thornton, and to amend the lines for the new developments in those areas. With that, I'm going to go over the transfer boundary rules for middle school, elementary, and high. Any middle school student affected by this boundary change who will be in the 8th grade for the 2021 school year may remain at their current middle school on a student transfer if their parents provide transportation and the opportunity for siblings is not available. The high school transfer rule, which is pertaining to a Res Code 604, students who are affected by the high school boundary change who will have an older sibling in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade attending the affected high school may choose to transfer to their original high school rather than attend the high school designated by the rezoning. The sibling transfers will remain eligible for UIL varsity participation, and they will be allowed to remain until graduation. And any elementary school student affected by this boundary change, this is basically the same as the middle school, but for 5th grade, will be affected by the boundary change, who will be in the 5th grade for 2021 school year, may remain at their current elementary school on a student transfer if their parents provide transportation, but this opportunity is not available for their younger siblings. This concludes our final recommendation. I would like to again emphasize that the Boundary Committee considered every surrounding res code that was rezoned or not rezoned. We tried to move the minimum amount of students to populate this beautiful new school. I'd also like to add that when I read about people not wanting to leave, which was in every scenario, I think it's a true compliment to the leaders, teachers, and staff at the buildings that they attend currently. Also, I want to remind everyone that we're recommending entire communities to change schools, not just certain streets or certain sections of a subdivision, entire communities, entire res codes. So everyone in that res code will be going together to their new school. And as mentioned several times today, Denise said it best, everything for everyone. CFISD offers the exact same opportunities at every level for everyone at each of our schools. So again, many of the comments alluded to the fact that we don't, but we really do. So.
Okay, board, any questions? Don, go ahead.
I don't have a question, Christy. I just a couple things that you said that stood out is that I do like the fact that we're increasing the enrollment at Springs because they're down, and that we've kept the neighborhoods together, and really in reading the comments, most of them are for people who are really happy where they are. And it's just unfortunate that they're living in an area that's growing rapidly. Mm-hmm. And we've had this throughout our community for years. But I will say, in all the boundaries that I've been a part of, this is by far the cleanest and most concise boundary proposal I've ever seen. I mean, if y'all should pat yourselves on the back, the entire team. This really was amazing how it worked out. So. Thank you for that. It was awesome. Well done.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Gilbert?
Big committee, too.
Yes, I'll echo Don's comments. Also, I don't have that paperwork in front of me. I believe you passed it out last month. What is the projected enrollment for Rowe when you do open up? And since Thornton was at 1,900, what's their projection? And also Anthony.
I think Rowe is 1155, if I remember correctly. Let me look real quick. So many papers. Okay. Rowe is projected to be residents only, 1134. Hopper is 1155. Anthony was 1059. Thornton was 1533. And Kayla's 1452.
Okay, so Anthony is still substantially down compared to the others.
Approximately 600 kids
Right.
from there, but they are the ones that are going to rapidly grow the most with Town Lake.
Projected growth?
Mhm.
Oh, the Town Lake, okay. Well, again, I want to echo Don's comments. Absolutely great job. And thank you for the answer.
Board, do we want this to stand alone, or do we want to move it to consent? Consent, okay? Okay. 9E, the board consider approving affiliation agreements with Texas Women's University Houston and 2 Grand Canyon University College of Nursing to provide clinical placements in Cypress-Fairbanks school clinics to fulfill the curriculum requirements in collegiate registered nurse, RN, and licensed vocational nurse, LVN programs. Presenters tonight are Roy Garcia and Christine Bernal. Questions only? I'm sorry, it did say that. Anyone have any questions about this? I guess the only question I have, because the way I look at it, is this is an opportunity for us to grab those people if we need them, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, great choice. Can we move this to consent?
Yes.
Okay. 9F, the board will consider approving the attached list of facilities for off-campus physical education, Category 1, for the 2019-2020 school year. Questions only. Does anyone have any questions for Loretta? Loretta? Just one statement. Don't tell me public school education doesn't give you choice. We're looking at 220 kids that are going all over the place. So we do have choice. So if you're out there saying we don't say it again. The superintendent's briefing portion of the agenda will be presented at the, I'm sorry, can we move that to consent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No. Don't mess me up, Don. I'm on a roll here. Superintendent's briefing portion of the agenda will be presented at the regular board meeting on Monday, December the 16th, 2019. And then one final little note to all of the board members. Holly is going to hand out a grassroots survey from TASB. I would like, it's in your folder. In your folder, would y'all take that, fill it out, and bring it back on Monday? And if you have nothing to add, that's fine, but we would like to have everybody's review and let us know what your thoughts are. And we are now adjourned. Thank y'all for being here.